What's up everyone? Alex here. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim's release date officially got announced a few weeks back, so I finally decided to download and check out the Japanese demo. I'm gonna say the same thing that I've said when I've given impressions of previous Japanese demos. I don't know how to read Japanese, so these impressions are purely based off of the gameplay I've experienced and not of the story, so you won't be spoiled at all. Unless, of course, you know how to read Japanese. I've also taken it upon myself to remove what I might find as potential spoilers, so needless to say, I've gone to great lengths so that this video will just be about the gameplay and nothing more. One thing I noticed immediately when starting the demo is that there's more story sequences than action sequences, which will be a huge departure for Vanillaware fans who are used to just jumping right into the action after a few minutes of expository dialogue. And while many might immediately try to label 13 Sentinels as a visual novel, I don't think that's entirely accurate either. It is true that you play multiple characters, even in this demo, and it is true that each of them have their own unique story path, but that's where the similarities end. Much like Vanillaware's previous games, stories are still told through the use of high-resolution 2D hand-drawn sprites against a detailed painted background, while utilizing a variety of rendering techniques to give the illusion of three-dimensional space. During these moments, you can walk around the environments, chat with different people, and interact with different objects, which brings the presentation a bit closer to traditional point-and-click adventure games. Pressing the triangle button seems to bring up a bunch of different topics that you can use to give more context to what's going on, and sometimes you can even use these to help advance the story during conversations. It's unclear whether there will be branching paths depending on the kinds of topics I've selected, though it seemed to me that my goal was to ensure that all of these topics were brought up during conversations to advance the story, as designated by a set of icons that pop up on the top right corner of the screen. Though I have absolutely no idea what's really going on, one thing is clear to me. Vanillaware's art design still impresses me immensely, and because the story requires so many more permutations of each sprite, this might also be the most ambitiously artistic game they've ever made. That said, Vanillaware is also known for their action gameplay, and when fans heard that they were abandoning it in favor of what looked like a real-time strategy game, many gave pause. In my close to 2 hours of playing the demo, I've only got to play 2 battles total thus far, with the demo still ongoing. All told, I now have a better picture of how this battle system works, and it's definitely not something I expected. For one, actions in battle are all happening in real time, save for one exception, when you're selecting a pilot and telling them what to do. 13 Sentinels battle gameplay functions much like a tower defense game, where you're required to defend parts of the map from enemy forces. The only time you'll get to attack is if you have pilots available to command, which you will have access to immediately when the battles start. After issuing commands to a pilot, they will get a cooldown that will prevent them from taking any further action. However, if you have any other pilots that are off their cooldown, you may command them at any time. There are different commands ranging from moving from one location to another and attacking enemies using various attacks, and it's up to you to figure out how and when to utilize each pilot's abilities. Because the battle maps can be huge, placement is key, much like for any tower defense game. There's something satisfying about seeing intricately textured 3D buildings and having a ton of enemies litter the screen, almost giving it a shoot 'em up vibe. From what I've played, I can see how the battle gameplay might get interesting later on. However, what's perhaps striking to me is the choice of a minimalist presentation when it comes to identifying the pilots and enemies in battle. As mentioned earlier in this video and my Odin Sphere review, Vanillaware is known for their wonderful art design, so 13 Sentinels' minimalist representation, while evocative of shoot-em-ups as I've mentioned, befuddles me. That said, I'm willing to suspend my criticisms of it if it means that it delivers the same kind of action that we've known that they can deliver. As you can imagine, it was very difficult for me to get a grasp of how 13 Sentinels is compared to the previous Japanese demos I've played, and I suspect that it had a lot to do with its storytelling. I want to restate how much of my experience with this demo really revolved around the story parts, and while that's something that I absolutely love to dive deep in, we'll all have to wait until the English version arrives. Otherwise, I'm pretty optimistic that Vanillaware knows what they're doing here, and I still look forward to seeing what this adventure truly is about. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. releases worldwide on Tuesday, September 8th for PS4. Now, I want to know what you think of what you've seen so far. Has this video changed your interest in the game? Post your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching everyone, and see you online.